Hi, welcome to the FitSpartan Podcast.
Oh my
Attempt number 125, A, B.
Still wrong.
So today we have a new member to the podcast.
I'm Asia.
We finally got rid of the dead weight.
I did wait.
No, you're not.
No. Oh my goodness.
So Asia is my, you're marketing, right? Your major?
No,
Your communications.
yeah.
So she's a communications intern, for me, and I am Sarah. I'm the assistant director for fitness and wellness at USC Upstate.
Mhm. And I am Andres, as you know. I am the marketing assistant as well, I
Mhm.
guess. Yes,
And
same
then
time.
you teach Zumba.
And I also teach Zumba.
Yep.
And yeah.
All right.
Okay. Oh, topics for today. We're gonna get controversial. Top 10 most controversial topics.
I mean, okay, so this list is provided PTDC. I don't know what that is. PTDC. And this article was written by Travis Collin, and it says the 10 most hotly debated fitness topics. And I don't know if they are hotly debated unless you are a personal trainer, but we'll go through these and we can see if you guys know anything about them and what your perceptions are. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. The first one is static stretching versus dynamic stretching. Do you guys know the difference between static and dynamic stretching?
Static is when you like stay still. Dynamic is where you incorporate a little bit more movement. So
Right. Yeah. So you're still working through a whole range of motion with dynamic stretching. It's not bouncing. That would be ballistic stretching. And static, like you said, you're usually holding it for 15 or more seconds. So what do you guys think? Which one is better?
I feel like, what is it?
Static?
Static. I feel like static is better because when I did work out, you like holding a position,
Mhm.
you like feel the burn. So I feel like that might be better than dynamic.
So when would you do that?
Like when you do, I don't know what you call it, but the one where you like hold it and you like squat. I don't know what you call it though. It's like the hand.
You're
like
stretching? You're talking about stretch?
Stretching.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I thought we were talking about working out in general.
Oh, you're saying like holding a
the
position.
is
Oh,
like more
okay. No, yeah, we're talking about just stretching. Mm-hmm.
Probably dynamic. 'Cause
Yeah.
you're like moving more. Yeah.
What about you, Andres? What do
Yeah.
you think?
I think dynamic because like majority of the workouts incorporate like multiple movement. I would say.
Mm-hmm. So, you guys are right to an extent. So, basically, it's not this or that. Dynamic stretching is ideal for movement prep because if you are static stretching, you may be putting yourself at a higher risk of injury, or you're not going to be able to get as much force production because your muscle fibers kind of overlap with each other, and then when your muscle contracts, they sort of play a little tug of war and like get closer together. If you static stretch immediately before you're going to do any sort of workout or need force production, there's going to be less overlap, so there's going to be less area for your muscle fibers to kind of pull on each other and get a solid contraction. If you are really tight though, and you want to do some static stretching like 15 minutes before your workout, and then you do some foam rolling, and then you do some dynamic stretching, you're probably going to be fine. It's not a big deal. But generally speaking, dynamic stretching before your workout, static stretching after. Alright, the next one is just squat, bro, versus corrective exercise.
What is corrective exercise?
See, this is what I thought.
I was like, what?
So basically, this one is saying, like the idea of just kind of getting in the weight room and like doing your workout using barbells and machines and whatever, versus corrective exercise. Think more of functional type movements. It might be body weight. It might focus more on underdeveloped muscles or smaller muscles. So let's say the just squat bro mentality might just be going into the weight room and starting to bench. But corrective exercise might be doing some external rotation at the shoulder joint to get the smaller rear delt muscles fired up and working before you bench.
So like what we were doing on the floor whenever I was just doing this would be corrective.
That would
and
be
then
corrective.
my push-ups were like significantly better.
Yes.
My one push-up was significantly better.
Yes. We tried to teach Andres how to do push-ups one day.
My record is 1.
One.
It is 1. It's bad. I have no upper body strength whatsoever.
We're gonna start working out together.
You should. Especially now because, like you were saying, that you don't feel comfortable in there. During the summer, it's pretty much always.
What time do they open? What time is it open?
11. And we close at 8. So, again, what do you guys think my answer is to this one?
Just squat, bro.
Just squat.
You know, just kidding.
So I've sort of struggled with this myself because at the end of the day, all of us only have a certain amount of time that we can allot to our exercise because we have to do the rest of our life. So previously, I would say I had more of a just squat bro mentality because I just was like really focused on lifting heavy, and I really enjoyed the feeling that I got from lifting really heavy. And then I got injured, and then I was like, okay, I need to take a break from lifting heavy, and I started doing mostly what I would consider to be corrective exercises. For me, having come from a bodybuilder powerlifting background, I didn't feel like I was working out at all, even though it was still hard. Like the exercises are hard, but they're not intense. And I did lose muscle in that process. So again, the answer is you need both. If you are a beginner, you absolutely should be doing these corrective type exercises, especially because everybody has range of motion limitations that might physically be preventing you from having proper form on your barbell exercises, your squats, your push-ups, those sort of bigger compound exercises. So let's see what they say here. This website says just squat bro, but also perform corrective exercise as a part of a warm-up or as a interset rest. So I overall agree with that. It should be a part of a warm-up, and even like having a main lift or a main exercise or focus for the day, and then after that doing some of this other stuff that's going to target smaller muscles that will help to prevent injuries and support your joints and everything. Questions? Okay, this next one is compound exercises versus isolation exercises.
I don't know what it means.
Me neither.
Go ahead and guess.
Compound exercise would probably be like incorporating multiple exercises all together, and then
Okay. Can you give me an example?
like you squat and then you lunge and then you, I don't know, like you have sets together. Versus,
So no rest, like exercise. Yeah. Okay.
And then isolation would be like squats, and then that's all you do is squats by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just do like 5 sets of 10 for squats instead of doing like
a series of things and then taking rest. What do you think, Andres?
I think it's when you use like try to focus isolation when you try to focus on one specific muscle. So like I see like some dudes like grab the little rope and then just do this swinging motion like a door. And then compound, I would say would be like rowing, where you have to use your legs and then your chest.
You
and
know
then
more than you think you do. That's actually right.
Yeah.
That's right. So isolation is when you're isolating just one major muscle group. So a bicep curl obviously is isolating the biceps. Technically, we should all be saying biceps curl, even though that sounds really weird because there's 3 different ones in there. As opposed to, let's say, like a lat pull down where you're using your biceps, but you're also using a bunch of big muscles in your back. So isolation, we can think of kind of not easier, but just single joint. So here I'm just moving my elbow with the bicep curl, whereas with that lat pull down, I've got the shoulders involved and the elbows pulling in. So which do you think is better?
compound.
Compound, yeah.
Compound?
For most people, yeah. If you are short on time, don't do isolation exercises unless it's part of like a corrective exercise, maybe like a rear delt fly or row or something like that would have its place. But if you're short on time, compound lifts are going to give you the more bang for your buck because you're using more muscle, which is going to be just more stimulation for your body to tone up. I don't like that word, but I'll use it. Gain muscle, all that good stuff. Burn calories. The harder you're working and the more muscle you're using, the more calories you're going to burn during and after that workout. Isolation exercises, though, have their place again. So if you do want to, we're podcasting. If you do want to specifically target an area, go for it. So that's my answer. Let's see what the website says. Oh, they agree with me. I was surprised. Emphasize compound lifts, but also incorporate single joint exercises to strengthen weak links and as icing on the cake.
So would I benefit from bicep curls?
I would have, so because you don't do any strength training right now, I would probably have you doing total body twice a week and not doing bicep curls probably. So I would have you doing like a lat pull down or a bent over row of some sort because both of those exercises also target your biceps.
Gotta get these gains. You gotta get these gains.
Yep. And don't wait to do it all on one day.
Why bench press 50 pounds 10 times when you can just bench press 500 one time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do that. I'd like to see how that went. I don't even think you could unwrap it from
I probably could.
I couldn't.
I would die. Like it would just drop.
Mm-hmm.
I had the bar itself drop on me once. It was bad. because I wasn't ready. My friend was like, "You
You
got
said
this."
you wasn't ready.
Like I wasn't ready.
Oh. What a As a fraction of your body, that's
Sit aside about that.
And then going both directions.
No. Any
I
guesses?
have absolutely no
No
clue.
idea? Okay. So, any exercise that is bilateral means you're doing both sides at one time. If it's unilateral, you're just doing one side at a time. So, this is basically saying for lower body training, should you barbell squat
No.
or just like squat with both legs? Is that better, or is it better to do like a one leg squat or
How do you do a one
How
leg
do you do
squat?
by standing on one leg and
Oh no.
squatting?
Like
I would fall.
like so.
Am I holding something?
You
Well-
can, but it's really hard, so I mean it's
Like-
already challenging to just do your own body weight.
So like, this is normal squat,
Yeah.
and then this is what you're doing.
Yeah.
How?
With
What
a lot
kind
of flexibility.
magic
and
is this?
No, not magic. Not magic. It can be done. For sure.
I would have to work my way up to that point.
Yeah.
Could not do it right
My knees are destroyed from walking her
Mhm.
because I'm just not used to. First of all, I normally cycle for cardio, and now that I'm jogging and walking and stopping and starting and switching directions, my knees. I did some like corrective exercise today, and my knees do feel a lot better afterwards, actually. But I don't know how people run and then strength train on the same day. It's so hard. It's really hard. Anyway, so this says there's nothing like feeling like the rush of adrenaline that comes with lifting a heavy load on your back. And then unilateral exercises would be just kind of like that. It could be a one leg squat, it could be a one leg deadlift, it could be one leg RDL, which is sort of like a straight leg deadlift. Again, I want to go ahead and say both. Because so let's use the barbell squat as an example. That does require flexibility too, and not a lot of people think about that. A lot of people don't think about flexibility when it comes to big movements like that. But if you're able to do it correctly, you are working on your flexibility, and you also have to work on your flexibility to be able to do it correctly. Because if you're going down into a barbell squat, you have to have a certain amount of ankle flexibility, otherwise your heels are going to come off the floor. You need to have back strength to keep your chest upright, and core strength, and then obviously the driving force of the whole thing is properly activating your legs, and not just your quads or not just your hamstrings, but everything together. Squatting, as opposed to say using a leg press, does give you more of a hormonal response, which is beneficial again for gaining muscle, burning calories, that type of thing, that you're not gonna get with a machine. And then it's not as intensive to do a body weight single leg lunge or single leg anything as it is going to be to really drive your feet into the ground and barbell squat or deadlift. So that high CNS stimulation is really going to drive your results in terms of leg development. Single leg anything is really hard. You're using your core to balance you and do the exercise correctly, but because you can't use the same amount of weight, it's not going to be as intense. But you should still do them to make sure that you're not developing imbalances. You don't want one leg taking over for the other leg when you are barbell squatting or deadlifting or anything like that.
How do you, like, is there a way to like test to see like which leg is like more predominant and like how to even them out?
If you can, so there's it's called the NASM squat assessment. It has a little checklist for you, so you can see. Basically, it's obviously best if you can find somebody with a trained eye to watch you do it and just check off the boxes. Okay, he's leaning to the left as he goes down. Okay, his chest is falling forward. And you check off these boxes, and then on the other side, it will show you exactly what your problem is. So if your heels are coming up, flip it over, heels coming up, and then it'll tell you your overactive muscles, your underactive muscles, strengthening exercises, and flexibility exercises to try and correct it. So, and squatting shouldn't hurt. Squatting is actually good for your knees, not bad for your knees, if you're doing it correctly. If it hurts, you're probably doing something wrong. Let's see what they said. They said a 1-to-1 ratio of unilateral to bilateral lower body exercise is just right. Pair a bilateral knee dominant exercise, so that would be like a barbell squat or any squat, with a unilateral hip dominant exercise in one session. So a unilateral hip dominant exercise might be a one leg RDL, because that's focusing more on pushing the hips forward, glutes and hamstrings, as opposed to knee dominant, which is a little bit more predominantly quads. And then flip-flop the movement patterns in the next session. All right, next one. Low reps versus high reps. What do you guys think?
I would say it depends. Like if you're trying to like
the exercise that you're doing.
It depends on the exercise?
Yeah.
Okay, so what exercise would you do? High reps.
Like curls, like anything light that you can pick up with one hand. I would say high reps. And then like something that requires both hands, low reps.
Yeah.
So are you're it sounds like you're kind of saying high rep for our
Correct.
isolation.
Yeah, isolation. Yeah.
And then low rep for our compound.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, again, like you guys said, it just sort of depends.
Because I feel like if we're going with lower reps, you're increasing like the weight you're picking up or the force you're
Right.
exerting. So
I mean, yeah. I mean, if
you
you're doing a unilateral exercise and doing only one side at a time, you physically cannot do the same amount of weight.
Yeah.
It depends on your goals. And it does depend on the exercise.
I feel like I'm doing more when my reps are lower.
Really?
Yeah, it makes me feel like I'm doing more than like having like high reps.
I feel like it's different for everybody. Because I know, so sometimes for me, and it's a common misconception that you have to be sore or feel the burn to get a good workout. But a lot of times when I'm doing lower reps, I don't feel the burn. But that doesn't mean that I'm not getting a good workout. So
if I don't feel the burn, then I feel like I'm really not doing anything. Because Because I feel like you should like feel something, like at least be sore or something.
So when it comes to strength training, it's all about training your nervous system. And so sometimes with these lower weights, you might not feel sore. But that doesn't mean that you didn't train your brain to communicate with your muscles that day, basically. And especially for girls, all the time, they're like, oh, I don't want to get big, so I don't want to do low reps. Doesn't matter. You're not going to get big. You're just not. And if you're physically capable of doing more than 20 reps, it's probably too light. You need to go up. At that point, it's cardio. It's not resistance training anymore. The lower the reps, the more strength-based it's going to be. The higher the reps is going to be more muscular endurance. You can tone up or build muscle. Those words mean the same thing. With a variety of different rep ranges. So research came out within the past couple of years, I want to say, because previously we used to think, okay, if we want to tone up or gain muscle, we got to say 8 to 12 reps. If I do more than that, it's muscular endurance. If I do less than that, it's strength. But I'm not going to get the muscle building that I would get with 8 to 12 reps. Now we know that the most important thing when it comes to that is effort. So if you're going within 2 reps of failure, then you're in good shape, whether it's high or low. If you do have a specific strength goal, like, oh, I want to be able to bench the bar, then, then you want to keep it generally lower. But everybody, even strength athletes, need to kind of fluctuate between higher rep ranges and lower rep ranges. And usually for your main lift, if you are doing a strength goal, it might be like 5 sets of 4 to 6, and then your corrective exercises or your isolation exercises after that will be like 10 to 12 reps. So they say hit multiple rep ranges, low, medium, high, super high, throughout the course of a week or training cycle. Full body lifts versus direct core work. If Dallas were here, I know what he would say.
I feel like Dallas would say full body. And I'm going to go with direct core.
Okay.
Because Dallas is wrong.
Yeah.
Full body lifts. Because whoever Dallas is sounds educated.
Why would you disagree with?
Well, I just wanted to give a different point of view.
Sure.
The wrong
Play
point of
devil's
view.
advocate, yeah. I mean, I don't think it's wrong. If you're doing a heavy barbell squat, you have to activate your core. I've done it before to the point that the next day my abs were more sore than my legs because of how hard you have to brace to not be crushed by the weight that's on your back. But doing specific core work, meaning like postural exercises for your back and your abs and whole trunk area, could help protect your spine when you are doing other stuff. So I haven't done abs since the end of the school year, but I think they have their place. But I don't think you should do like a whole abs workout. That's dumb. but do it in addition to.
Scratch it off from the to-do list from today.
I mean, if you want to, that's fine.
Like, would you say ab workouts or like cardio would be better for you if the end goal is trying to get abs?
The thing that would be better for you would be to eat better.
This is true.
Because no matter how much cardio or abs you're doing, you're never gonna see an ab unless you eat right. No matter how hard you try.
This is true.
That's my problem.
That's the big one for abs. But doing ab work will develop your abs. Because remember, you can't spot reduce, but you can spot build muscle. So just like if I was going to do bicep curls to make my biceps bigger, doing abs is going to tighten up all that too. They said on top of big full body lifts, throw in a couple of direct core exercises each session. So yeah, so both, but again, kind of like throwing it into your other workouts rather than, okay, today is abs day. I'm going to do abs once a week. So your abs are like such an endurance based muscle that you can usually do them more often.
Yeah.
Just like your calves.
So like I'm trying to come up with a new workout routine. So I want to do like cardio in the morning and then abs in the morning and then whatever follows.
Okay.
Like the rest of the day, like arms and legs.
How many days a week?
I don't know yet. I'm still like trying to wake up early enough.
Why don't we start with 1 day a week?
So what is a good, like, how many times should you work out? Because I know like overdoing it can like hurt you too.
So I mean, again, the answer is going to be different
For each person.
for each person. So I want to say I work out probably 6 days a week, something, and then 1 day a week I don't do anything. If I had Andres do that, he would die.
Taking a day off?
No, of like
Oh,
working
yeah,
out
working
6
out.
days. I don't mean literally die, but you would probably get hurt.
Yes, most likely.
Yeah. So.
Starting out,
Starting out.
how many days should you work out?
The correct answer is however many you can realistically adhere to. Because it doesn't matter what I say if you're not going to be able to actually do it.
Yeah.
Because doing something is always better than doing nothing. The American College of Sports Medicine recommends 4 or more days per week for disease prevention. So if you really want to hit that threshold of significant disease prevention, then 4 or more days per week. But again, you are going to be a healthier person even if you're only able to commit to 2. And that doesn't mean, and you should have some sort of cardio, strengthening, flexibility incorporated into that whole thing. So you're not doing, and you can do that stuff on the same day, but I think a lot of people that get started just do cardio, which is fine, but you do need those other aspects to be healthier too. And strength training, I'm a huge advocate of, because most of the time people start working out because they want to change the shape of their body, and strength training is really the way that you can accomplish that. Rather than, of course you can just lose weight by doing dietary changes and cardio alone, but you will probably lose muscle, which is bad news.
That's what happened. 15 pounds of the 30 pounds I lost was muscle.
It's better to stay fat than to like extreme diet, because then you're gonna lose your muscle.
Yeah. Switched over to salads 6 days a week.
With chicken on it or something.
Yeah, with chicken on it. Lost 30 pounds in 3 weeks.
Just only salads.
Yeah.
I like salad.
It was a good salad too. Once again, the burning of my wallet was stopped.
30 pounds in 3 weeks is good.
But like, I
That's
used to eat
crazy.
really bad. Like, I used to eat like 12 hot wings or like
Or
whole
grande frappuccino.
grande
with
frappuccino
crunchy.
in the morning. Like, I used to have at least 3 sweet coffee drinks a
That
day.
sounds really expensive too.
It was bad.
That sounds really expensive.
It was. But like at the time I was working from like 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. like nonstop.
That
So,
sounds
like,
miserable.
It was terrible. I wanted to die.
Don't do that.
Not anymore.
Ever again.
Yeah.
And now do you still work at the movie theater?
Yes.
Do you eat snacks there?
No. I came up with a new tactic. I just leave my wallet in my car so that it's too inconvenient to like
That's
get
good.
it. Yeah.
Hopefully nobody steals your wallet, but if they steal it, then you really can't
You
buy
did.
it.
I can't buy it. Then I'll have to try that starvation. Have you heard of it? It's like you only eat
Anorexia?
I don't know. It's like it's just below starvation, so that your like body's always in fight or flight mode, and like allegedly it
That
helps.
sounds like just
It's
fasting.
miserable. Yeah, I was just like.
How, what? Huh?
Okay, so this guy like calculates how much calories like his body would need,
Yeah.
and he
Which
eats
is just a total estimation.
Yeah.
He has no idea.
no idea, and then he eats 20% less than that number. So he's constantly like
That's
starving
stupid.
himself, and I'm just like,
That's really stupid.
why?
Do not recommend.
Do not recommend. Unsubscribe from that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was like, can't.
Who is this guy?
I don't know. He just
Where
happened
did
to be
you
on
find
the.
out about him?
It was on the news. Well,
On the news?
Yeah, it was on the news.
Mm.
And he was trying to push this thing, and I was like,
This is why we need to have a critical mind when consuming health information.
yes.
That's not sustainable.
Mm-mm. He was old too. He was like 40 something. Like he
40's old.
40 for me is old.
Alright, got basically like 12 years.
Live your life.
11 years. Yeah.
I don't know. Then again, I have a like bad reference point since my parents are so young, because they're 40, and I'm just like they're old in my eyes.
Oh yeah. Okay.
My
Yeah.
parents are old. They're not old, but well, actually, they kind of are now.
Yeah.
Because my mom had me when she was 32.
I think my mom was like 36. So yeah.
So
old.
yours are old too.
Yeah.
Mine was 20. Like.
So how old are you?
I am 21.
So can you imagine having a 1-year-old right now?
Yes.
Yes?
I want
Yes.
one. I want to adopt.
Right now?
Right now. I'm ready.
Oh my
No, I'm
god.
not.
Are you sure?
I
I
don't
got
know.
a 2-year-old. That's a really cute face. All her teeth are hanging out.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sending him to British boarding school, so he comes back with an accent.
So you want to adopt a kid so you can send it away?
Yes, and then when he comes back, he's already like properly trained and whatnot.
Oh my god.
What? That like takes away the point of even adopting.
She'll.
I should just go ahead and adopt a 5-year-old in Britain. That's what I should do.
It's like financially supported, and then when he turns 10, then like following you.
Hi, I am your father. With a Darth Vader mask on.
Oh my
He
God.
better be a Star Wars fan.
You can't like go to a factory and like pick out.
Personality.
Personality.
Like, not even personality, like, just likes and
Likes.
dislikes.
Star Wars.
So you're really all for then, like, picking out your genes and stuff.
Oh yeah, that CRISPR stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yes, yes, I would.
You would select for
Yes.
liking Star Wars.
Yes.
Tall, brown eyes, like Star Wars.
okay with not being with you for like
10 years.
Seen you off.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
This sounds about right.
Should we keep going?
Yes.
Okay. The next one is spinal flexion and rotation versus core stability. So this one means, should you do exercises where you're like twisting a lot, or should you do exercises where you're really focused on keeping your core still and bracing?
Well, my back hurts all the time, so I feel like spinal
Flexion and rotation
would be better because my back hurts all the time.
So it says here, the purpose of the core is to prevent motion, not to create it. You see the human spine is like a credit card. Repeatedly bending and twisting it will over time cause it to snap in half, right? Well, again, I mean, I think this is the answer to most of these. You got to do both. Because, again, it's good to have mobility, especially in your upper spine. And a lot of people tend to get very stiff upper spines, and their lower spines get to be too mobile. But we want the lower spine to be a little bit more stable with some mobility, and then the upper part of our back to have more mobility. So I say both. So I'll do exercises like, say you have a cable, like the rope out in front of you, and you twist away from the cable machine, keeping your lower body stable, so you're focusing on generating that twist through your core and upper body. Your arms shouldn't be doing the work, but just your abs. And then also I will set the weight probably a little bit heavier, and then again hold on to that rope with my hands straight out in front of me, step away from the cable machine, and just resist the weight pulling me back. So my answer is stability and mobility. So they say train primarily for core stability and sporadically hit the glamour muscles with a few sets of low rep flexion or rotation based exercises. What's the most common exercise used for core stability? I would say
Crunches.
that would be, you would be moving in that, so you would be, so think resisting movement.
I'm not sure. Is it
Planks?
more like you're like
Planks.
Is it planks?
Yeah.
I was not about to say.
You were just gonna say holding this point out. That's good too. Yeah, some planks I would say is probably.
Planks, they look simple, but they're very like.
If you're doing them
intense.
right, they're intense. Most people have their back sagging. And if you want to make it really hard, think about pulling your elbows down to your toes and pulling your toes up to your elbows. So it looks exactly the same. You're in the same position, but just thinking about creating tension and pulling down and driving your toes up makes your abs work so much harder. You can't do it for more than 10 seconds. You cannot. They're called RKC planks, Russian Kettlebell Club planks. So I'll do like 6 sets of 10 seconds for that one because it's too hard to do longer than that if you're doing it correctly. Okay. Next. Traditional cardio versus metabolic resistance training.
What is metabolic resistance training?
I think more kind of like
Depriving yourself of air.
we haven't talked about that yet, have we?
Like.
We should save that for another podcast.
Okay.
We kind of talked about it last week. So to me, when they say metabolic resistance training, I don't know if they mean high intensity interval training or if they mean circuit training. It's about to get real loud in here, by the way, because they're about to go to lunch for Sparty's Kids Camp. But traditional cardio, I think of like steady state, 30 minutes, just going along. You can still talk in full sentences, but maybe not more than one sentence at a time, versus metabolic resistance training, which I first think of high intensity interval training. Because it says resistance training, that makes me think of lifting weights. But it's very high intensity. You cannot say a sentence at a time. That's like a way to gauge what intensity you're at. You can get the same benefits from high intensity interval training in half the time of doing traditional cardio. So that's good for most people. You might have more time to do like strength training and other stuff. With the metabolic resistance training, I definitely would not recommend doing that every day, because if it is high intensity and you are doing resistance training at the same time, that's just going to be really hard on your body to sustain. For somebody like you, Andres, that is trying to get into working out, I think that circuit training would be a really great option, because you're getting both resistance training and lifting weights, or it doesn't even have to be lifting weights, but like body weight stuff like push-ups and cardio at the same time. So you're getting more benefit from that by just doing one or the other. So this person I feel is biased, because they say performing heavy technical lifts in a fatigued state is risky, which yes, that seems risky. But with proper training age, so that means how long you've been training for, whether that's 6 months, 5 years, whatever. Appropriate exercise selection and careful attention to form, metabolic resistance training, aka lifting weights faster, can be plenty safe, not to mention boatloads of fun, not buttloads. So they say use a mix of metabolic resistance training with traditional cardio. I say mix it up so you don't get bored. Just like running on the treadmill for 30 minutes is really boring. So do other stuff. Alright, we got 2 more. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay. What? Okay. Advanced monitoring techniques versus wellness questionnaire. So they're basically saying, should you objectively measure your heart rate, your strength, your body fat, or should you do a wellness questionnaire? How well did I sleep? How sore am I? How excited am I to train today?
No, you should do advanced monitoring techniques.
I think you have to have something.
Because wellness questionnaire, it could be, stuff can factor into it that has absolutely nothing to do with your workout. Like you didn't sleep well tonight because you're like stressed out about something else, or
Yeah, I definitely think that other stuff though, like just general stress, whether it be from school or work or whatever, can impact your physiology too.
Really?
Oh, for sure. Just like what your heart rate is, if you're acutely stressed because of other stuff not related to exercise, your resting heart rate might be higher. But again, you need that objective measurement of your heart rate rather than just like, oh, this is how I feel. So I think, again, the answer is kind of to marry them both. But especially if you're a very numbers motivated person, I think as much objective measurement as you can get is good. But it's also important to kind of know yourself in terms of like exercise volume, So if I have the objective measurement of this is how much volume I got in my exercise this week, and oh wow, I got this amount and I feel great, well, maybe I try and bump up the volume a little bit next week. Or if I got this amount of, they're talking about heart rate variability, so basically the more variable your heart rate, the more fit of a person you are. The lower your heart rate variability, the less fit you are, because your heart isn't adapting really quickly to different changes. So yeah, I don't know. I think it can help to determine if you're recovering properly. All right, last but not least, I already talked about it, kind of. So interval training versus steady state cardio. Train slow, be slow. Steady state cardio makes you skinny fat. If you want to get in shape, intervals are all you need, right? It's true, when it comes to slimming down, intervals are far superior to slogging away on a treadmill for an hour while reading a magazine. So like I said, you can get a lot more bang for your buck if you just like crush it for 15 minutes rather than like for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I feel like there's so many people that come here that just do the same thing every day, and like they're carrying on conversation with their friends and like walking on the treadmill, reading a magazine, looking through their phone. That's, again, better than doing nothing, but you're not going to get the results you want. But at the same time, if you kill it on your HIIT every single day, you're going to feel worn out and miserable. So,
But you'll sleep well.
as long as you don't do it right before you go to bed, then yeah.
But if you do it right before you go to bed, you won't sleep well?
Probably not.
Really? Because you're still like...
Hyped up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
so
makes sense.
high intensity interval training increases your cortisol, which usually combats melatonin. So at nighttime, we want our melatonin to be high and our cortisol to be low. So it's best to do it in the morning if you want to support your cortisol being higher in the morning, which is what we want.
Yeah, that's something I noticed, because I used to be one of those people that was like up on the track for 2 hours, just walking, talking, because like I always knew people, and they'd just be like, oh hi,
Yeah,
oh,
and that's
hi.
fun. Like, that's a fun social
Yeah.
experience,
Yeah.
but it's not the best workout experience.
And then like I became friends with a Marine, and then he was like, what are you doing up there? Hit the gym. Like, we're like, I am at the gym. He's like, weight room now. And then like
Who?
30 minutes, his name was Jesse Mitchell.
Oh, I don't know.
He was built like Captain America.
Did
Like
he train you?
for like a solid month. And then like I lost weight, like, gained muscle. It was intense. I was just like, bruh. What? But he was built.
How did he eat? How did he eat?
Oh, he would like meal prep every day. Like, here's chicken. That's what we're having today. And I was like, okay.
Like what people meal prep, I feel like it's just not enough.
Well, people like that probably eat like 5 times a day. So when you have 5 smaller,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
but I eat 2 giant meals a day. This week, 1 giant meal a day.
I'm a snacker. Like I have to eat like throughout the day. It's like a mind thing. Like I'm not hungry, but I want to eat.
I'm just slacking on my meal prep. So, and I have a ton of food at home. So I don't want to buy food here. So I just eat like 2,000 calories at one time.
Are protein bars a good snack?
Yeah, it depends what kind. It depends on your goals again.
Kellogg's Special K,
No.
triple chocolate.
No.
No.
They taste good.
Cliff bars.
No.
No.
So what's a good
No
name
Not for
brand?
you.
Oh.
Name brand of like
Quest.
What's Quest?
They are
Oh wait, are they in
high in fiber and low in net carbs. No added sugar.
I need sugar.
They're in like a turquoise, right? And, like transparent and then like multicolored down the. I don't know. I've seen so many.
They're not transparent.
No.
Mm-mm.
Alright.
If it's post-workout,
Mhm.
you could do a Cliff
Yeah.
because of the carbs. But just as a regular snack,
Yeah.
mm-mm.
Because we're trying to find an alternative to Flamin' Hot Cheetos.
I mean, anything will be better than that, pretty much.
So are the smoothies? Because when I worked out, like I would leave the gym and like go straight to Smoothie King and get me a protein shake. Like, is that
They, I think, have like 1 or 2 shakes that are good.
like actually like good for me to drink?
Yeah. Though, so some of those shakes have as much sugar as 6 Krispy Kreme donuts.
Wow. So my whole workout was like a waste of time because
No, it wasn't a waste of time, but that's probably not the best option. If you worked out intensely, the best time to have carbs is right after, or have fast, like sugar carbs. Those carbs can help the protein get into the muscle cell, so that's good. But overall, I try and steer people away from those types of shakes because they, like the fruit, basically you're getting rid of all of that fiber that was previously in the fruit and you're just having the sugar part of the fruit. Fruit usually has fruit sugar, which is fructose, and that has to be metabolized in the liver before your body can use it. So in that way, it can be a little bit harder for your body to digest. So I have, let's see what I've got in here. So this is like straight sugar. This is sugar. For post-workout. So bodybuilders will specifically take, so this is pure glucose, so it doesn't have to go to the liver to be processed. So it offers you an immediate insulin spike to usher that protein into the cell. I don't really take it because I am bad at nutrient timing. If I was good, I would like take this and have protein and be good, you know. But I prefer to have cupcakes on the weekend. So I eat like low carb during the week and I have cupcakes on the weekends. And then it doesn't impact my body composition that much. But this also has a whole list of vitamins and stuff on here too, which is, so it's not just sugar, it's sugar and vitamins, basically. Alright, overall, do both of everything that we talked about and don't drink smoothies. Unless you make them yourself and put the whole fruit in there.
With peel and everything, or like with
whole oranges.
whole oranges. Because I've seen some people do it, and I'm just like,
that
why?
is nasty.
That sounds gross.
Why would you ruin it?
Wait,
Whole
so are
ones.
naked drinks?
No. I'm gonna, yeah. I know. Look at how much sugar's in it.
I'm just looking at the fruit. That's my only fruit intake.
That's okay. I mean, so everybody has a threshold of like safe sugar consumption, and that's going to be different for everybody too. You guys are both really young, so it's possible that your blood tests and everything might still come back healthy, but obviously no matter what, high sugar consumption is going to catch up to you. The more muscle you have, the bigger a person you are, the more carbs your body can safely digest and use. The smaller you are, the less muscle you have, and I'm just generalizing, but the smaller you are, the less muscle you have, the lower your carb tolerance will be before you start gaining fat. So yeah, let's call it.
Well, thank you for coming today. Thank you, Asia, for joining us. This is me signing off. And
Goodbye.
Bye.